Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, you know the scene this time of year. You walk into a room, you see the holly, maybe a cactus with a little Santa hat on it, the poinsettias.
All the usual suspects.
Exactly. But there's one piece of holiday greenery that is, when you actually dig into the data, a complete biological and cultural paradox.
Oh, it's the ultimate trickster of the plant world. We're talking about mistletoe.
The plant that is highly toxic, completely parasitic.
And, in some cases, violently explosive. And yet, somehow, we use it as an excuse for holiday romance.
It's an insane tradition. So our mission today is to tear through the sources and really understand this thing. Its true nature, its, frankly, terrifying biology, and the surprisingly dirty history of the whole kissing tradition.
Right, because you think you know mistletoe, but you probably don't.
Not at all.
First, we should probably define what we're even talking about. Mistletoe isn't just one plant. The sources tell us it's over 1,000 species in the Santalize order.
1,000.
Yeah. We're mostly familiar with common mistletoe, Viscum album over in Eurasia, and here, the American mistletoe, Phorhodendron serotinum.
That's a huge family tree. And speaking of names, before we get into all the stealing and the biology, we have to start with the etymology. This one detail is what completely sold me on this deep dive.
I think it's essential context.
So for anyone picturing a romantic little sprig right now, let me tell you what the Anglo-Saxons called it. Is it really true that the name mistletoe literally translates to dung twig?
It is 100% true. The romantic dung twig.
Wow.
And that delightful name is the perfect, if maybe unappetizing, intro to how this plant actually lives and spreads.
The romantic dung twig. Okay, let's hold that thought. Let's jump into its lifestyle. The ultimate freeloader.
When you see it, it's that iconic, dense ball of green, right? High up in a tree, sometimes a meter across.
And we only really notice it in the winter.
Exactly. It's evergreen. So when the host tree drops all its leaves for the winter, suddenly you see this perfect green sphere just shining against these bare gray branches.
The flowers are pretty subtle though, right?
Very. Pale yellow or green in the spring. It's those sticky white berries in the fall and winter that really get all the attention.
And that visibility is really just showing off its primary job, which is being a thief.
It is. The Greek name for the American species, Phorhodendron, literally means thief of a tree. A very accurate job description.
But it's not a total parasite, right? The sources were specific about that.
Right, and that's a key distinction. It's what's called a hemiparasite. It's not totally dependent.
So it has the green leaves, it can do its own photosynthesis?
It can make its own energy, but, why work that hard when you can just tap into your neighbor's water and nutrient supply?
So it can cook its own dinner, but it just prefers stealing the expensive stuff from next door.
Yeah.
How does it actually, tap the line?
It uses these specialized root-like structures. They're called haustoria. And these things aggressively penetrate the host tree's bark. They get right into the tissues and just start sucking out the sap and minerals. It's a permanent siphon.
That sounds like a long-term death sentence for the host. I mean, if it's that good at stealing, wouldn't it just kill the tree it's living on?
That is the logical conclusion. And that's where the biology gets really interesting. It's this almost counterintuitive, long-term survival instinct.
Okay.
Studies have shown that when a host tree is really heavily infected,
With multiple clumps all stealing at once.
yes, all drawing resources, each individual mistletoe plant actually amps up its own rate of photosynthesis.
Wait, really? They start working harder individually? That makes no sense for a freeloader.
It's strategic. Think about it. If the collective theft kills the host tree,
They all die.
they all die. So this cooperative burst of photosynthesis, it's like they're easing up on the host just enough to ensure it stays alive. That guarantees their own long-term survival.
That is a genius, if incredibly self-serving survival plan. The best way to be a parasite is to keep your victim healthy.
Precisely.
Okay, that brings us right back to that delightful name you mentioned, the dung twig. Because the way these things spread is just as wild.
It is. So for humans, mistletoe is part of that trifecta of toxic holiday plants. But birds, they can't get enough of those waxy white berries. They're the key.
And it all comes down to this super sticky film on the seeds called viscin.
Nature's super glue. So the birds eat the berries, and the viscin helps spread the seeds in two ways. First, the seed is so sticky it just clings to the bird's beak.
And it must be annoying.
Right. So the bird flies to a new branch and uses it like a napkin to wipe the sticky seed off. And boom, new nursery.
Okay, that's one way. But the other way is much more visceral. the Anglo-Saxon way.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
The seeds pass all the way through the bird's digestive system. That viscin coating ensures the droppings cling instantly and firmly to whatever branch they land on.
And that's it. A new plant high up in the canopy.
It's the journey from cloaca to kissing, powered by incredibly sticky bird waste. That's your dung twig.
I feel like I need a moment to process that our entire holiday kissing tradition stems from avian sanitation habits.
And it gets even more extreme. If you look at the dwarf species, the story of seed dispersal becomes, well, violent.
Some of them literally explode, right?
They do. The mechanical force is just astounding. Take the lodgepole pine dwarf mistletoe. It uses a method called thermogenesis discharge.
Thermogenesis, like it generates heat.
Yes. It's the only plant known to disperse its seeds by explosion triggered by self-generated heat. It warms itself up to build pressure.
That sounds less like a plant and more like a tiny timed bomb.
It basically is. And then you have the limber pine dwarf mistletoe, which uses pure water pressure, hydrostatic pressure, to launch its seeds at nearly 96 kilometers an hour.
That's almost 60 miles per hour.
It's an artillery shell. All of this has evolved to ensure its children land high up on a new host.
That aggression is just...
Wow.
And some are even more parasitic, right? Like the one that infects cacti.
Tristerix. It's almost entirely parasitic. It doesn't even bother forming that nice festive ball. It just bursts out of the host from the inside.
So, okay. We've got theft, toxicity, violent explosions, internal heat bombs. What does this plant actually give back? What's the return on investment for the ecosystem?
Well, despite its reputation, mistletoe is actually an ecological cornerstone, especially in winter.
How so?
Those dense evergreen clumps provide crucial food and shelter for close to 100 vertebrate families and over 50 insect species when everything else is bare. It's the winter grocery store and apartment complex for the forest, and it's huge for nutrient cycling. See, most deciduous trees are really efficient. They suck every last nutrient out of their leaves before dropping them.
They don't waste anything.
Exactly. Mistletoe doesn't have to. It can steal nutrients anytime it wants, so it just drops these super nutrient-rich leaves. They break down on the forest floor and dramatically enrich the soil.
So a big mistletoe population can actually be a sign of a healthy, diverse ecosystem with a lot of birds.
It's an indicator species. And that interconnectedness extends to its chemistry. Ancient cultures used it for all sorts of things. Pliny the Elder thought it could cure cancer.
And we're still looking at it today, right, for things like lowering blood pressure.
We are. But here's where the chemistry gets really wild, and it ties directly back to its parasitic nature.
Okay.
The sources show that the pharmacologically active substances in mistletoe are entirely host-dependent.
Wait, what does that mean?
It means the chemical makeup of the mistletoe fundamentally changes depending on which tree it's stealing from.
So the parasite literally absorbs the chemical identity of its host. Give me an example.
It's astounding. Mistletoe growing on nightshade plants. It's been found to contain nicotine.
You're kidding.
And mistletoe found growing on coffee plants. That mistletoe is hopped up on caffeine.
That is unbelievable. It's a chemical chameleon. It just becomes what it eats.
A profound statement about the interconnected chemistry of the plant world.
Which brings us to the final and maybe biggest paradox. From poisonous twig to a holiday romance. Why on earth are we kissing under a dung twig?
The cultural roots are deep, and they're often very contradictory. In Norse mythology, for instance, mistletoe is actually a weapon, a symbol of death.
Right, Loki uses it to kill Balder, the god of light and joy.
The only thing that could harm him. So it starts there, but then the branding completely flips.
For fertility and life.
Exactly. Celtic druids, way back in the 1st century, saw it as this powerful symbol of virility.
Because it was alive in the dead of winter.
Right. It was green when everything else was dead. And both the ancient Greeks and Celts saw those sticky white berries as symbols of male fertility.
Which is ironic considering that rat study that showed the extract actually decreased sperm quality. But how do we get from there? From fertility cults and Norse death weapons to mandatory kissing.
It solidifies over centuries tied to winter solstice festivals in Europe. The first kind of agreed-upon reference we have to the actual kissing tradition is from a song published in England in 1784.
And what was the context back then? Was it really romantic?
Not always. The sources suggest it was sometimes just a social loophole for men to try and get kisses from unwilling women. which is obviously not a great origin story.
But there's another side to that too, isn't there, given the times?
There is. In an era when women had very little social agency, some accounts suggest mistletoe was also a legitimate, recognized way for a woman to orchestrate a kiss that she wanted. It gave her a kind of social license she might not have had otherwise.
So it was all tied up in these shifting social norms of courtship and control.
Exactly. The tradition is still here, but thankfully the social contract has changed. The plant still steals nutrients from its host.
But stealing kisses from someone who doesn't consent is, thankfully, no longer acceptable.
A good thing.
So that's our deep dive. You now know that mistletoe is an ecological cornerstone, an aggressive chemical chameleon, an explosive seed spreader, and a parasite whose history spans Norse gods and shifting social norms.
And here's a final thought for you to mull over. We know its chemical makeup changes so profoundly based on its host nicotine on nightshade, caffeine on coffee. So, what completely undiscovered compounds might be hidden in mistletoe that's growing on less studied, rare, or exotic host species?
What other chemical or medicinal mysteries are hiding in a simple bundle of greenery? The answer might just be in a dung twig near you. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.